Imagine taking just a single image and turning it into a full-blown construction time lapse. I know, it sounds kind of like science fiction, right? Well, today, I'm going to show you exactly how it's done using the power of AI. And hey, before we really get into it, if you find this helpful, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and make sure you're subscribed to @BrandTechOff. It really helps out. Thanks. So get this, a recent report from the American Institute of Architects found that only about 8% of architecture firms have really truly integrated AI. That means the other 92% are probably working way, way harder than they need to be. And that brings us to the big question for today. What if you could take one single beautiful concept image and spin it into a complete cinematic construction time lapse? Not in weeks like it used to take, but in just a handful of hours. Well, you can, and I'm going to walk you through the entire workflow right now. Okay, so first, let's just be real about the old way of doing things. Creating these kinds of high-end architectural visualizations has always been a huge pain. It's slow, it's super expensive, and honestly, it takes a whole arsenal of complex software and skills. And this slide right here, it just lays it all out. The traditional path, man, it took weeks. You had all this meticulous 3D modeling, texturing, lighting, and then you had to wait and just keep waiting for those renders to finish. But the new way, the AI way, it's all about smart prompting and letting the AI do the heavy lifting. We're collapsing a timeline from weeks down to just a few hours. That's not a small improvement, it's a complete game changer. You know, this quote from the team at My Architect AI just hits the nail on the head. If you're not using these tools yet, you are fundamentally just working harder than you have to. This whole thing is about getting your time back so you can focus on the important stuff, the actual design. So let's meet your new creative partner. I want you to think of these tools not as a replacement, but as an incredibly powerful co-pilot that's ready to bring your vision to life at like lightning speed. So here's a quick look at our tool stack. We're going to start with an image generator, something like Midjourney, to create our main images. Then we'll jump to a video generator, like Voo or Runway ML, to actually animate between them. After that, a video upscaler will get everything looking super crisp in 4K. And finally, we'll pull it all together in a pro editor like DaVinci Resolve. All right, let's dive in. Step 1 is all about creating the keyframes. Now, this is the absolute foundation of the whole animation. If you get this part right, trust me, everything else just falls into place. The idea here is really simple, but so powerful. All you have to do is generate 2 images. The absolute beginning of your story, let's say an empty plot of land, and the absolute end, the finished building. These 2 pictures act like anchors, giving the AI the start and end points to build the whole story in between. Okay, quick pro tip for you. Before we get to the fun animation part, you've got to prep your images. You'll want to get rid of any watermarks and expand everything to a standard 16:9 widescreen format. And here's the best part. You can record this process as a Photoshop action and then automatically apply it to dozens of images at once. It saves a ton of boring manual work. Okay, this is where the magic happens. We've got our start and end frames ready to go, so let's move on to step 2, the AI animation. It's time to let the AI connect those dots and really bring our project to life. Now, before we jump in, there's a key concept you gotta understand. It's called temporal consistency. Basically, it's the biggest challenge in AI video, making sure stuff doesn't flicker or randomly morph from one frame to the next. The method we're using, with a start and an end frame, is one of the best ways to solve this and get a smooth, believable video. So the process is pretty straightforward. You upload your start frame, you upload your end frame, you set a few options like cinematic, and then you hit generate. But listen up, because this next part is the most important tip of the whole video. To make a longer animation, you take the very last frame from the clip you just made and use it as the start frame for the next one. You just chain them together like that, and you can create a seamless animation that's as long as you want. Awesome! We've got our raw animated clips, but to really take this from a cool experiment to a cinematic piece, we need the final step, the polish. This last phase has 4 parts. 1, generate some custom music to set the vibe. 2, upscale all your clips to a super sharp 4K resolution. 3, bring all those clips into your editor and piece them together into one long continuous shot. And 4, add those final stylistic touches. You know, some color grading, maybe a little film grain to give it that professional cinematic feel. So when you put this all together, what do we actually have? It means we have a brand new way of working, a new creative workflow that's faster and more flexible than anything we've had before. I mean, this chart really says it all, doesn't it? What used to take weeks of really painstaking work can now be done in just a few hours. The amount of time you save is it's insane. It frees you up to actually experiment, to try new things and perfect your vision without getting bogged down in all the technical stuff. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, first, think of AI as your new creative assistant. It's making this kind of high-end work accessible to everyone, not just big studios. And most importantly, it lets you test out tons of ideas in the time it used to take to model just one. You get to be a designer again, not just a technician. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. Now that the barrier between what you can imagine in a finished cinematic video has basically vanished, what are you going to build first?